Hello YouTube, my name is Isabella and today I'm going to be doing a spoiler-free review for King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo. Let's just jump into it. King of Scars is the offshoot of the Shadow and Bone trilogy and also takes place after the events of Six of Crows. I'm not going to actively give a synopsis because this is the sixth or the seventh book in the Grishaverse universe, so we're not going to spoil it, and in fact this video will be entirely spoiler free. But if you think of character names as a possible spoiler, if you want nothing, maybe don't watch the video. I was so excited to read it in 2019 when it came out, and then the reviews came in and oh boy. So I've been dragging my feet on reading it. I went into it with low expectations and unfortunately it still managed to disappoint me a little bit. Sorry. This book should not be marketed as the Nikolai duology. We're just gonna say that now. It's got 4 different perspectives in here, at least. And Nikolai is not like the main focus. So go into that knowing that, and you might be more successful than I. To actually get into the review, in terms of the world building, I don't have too much to say about this because again, it's the 6th book in this world, 7th if you include the Language of Thorns. And we know the world already, we know how it works, we are fairly familiar with a lot of the other countries, and we're back in our main country of Ravka. It's pretty standard. I really enjoy the influence and expansion into like the culture, what informs their cultures, practices, and religions, the sainthood, all that kind of stuff though, I do think was well expanded upon and actually pretty successful. I also liked the powers in here, how Grisha powers aren't as limited as we first believed. There is growth in there, and I like the way that that was expanded upon, especially with one character in particular. The world building was fine, but it's not a knock against this book at all. It was just there because, again, we are many books into this at this point. The characters, however, do hit the struggle bus a little bit. The characters aren't bad. I like these characters. All of them I genuinely really enjoy, but they don't have a lot of growth in here, and that is a huge problem for me as a reader. Only one of the 3 main perspectives actually has active growth and a clear arc. The other 2 characters, it's very murky as to whether or not they are growing. One character is very stagnant until the end, and to have another character, which I'm not going to spoil it because that would be a spoiler, who literally ends up in the exact same position as they are in the beginning is very unsatisfying, just narratively speaking. I do, however, still really enjoy the banter and the way the characters act with one another. It's playful, it's fun, it's one of my favorite things that Leigh Bardugo does, is she has some great dialogue and character interactions, and that stuff I really enjoyed. I'm also so relieved that there is no romance in this book. There are things hinted towards. I like that Leigh Bardugo is taking the time to develop these 2 romances. I'm pretty sure we're going to get 2 romances. She's taking the time and letting the characters slowly come together and have their minds shift, and that I think will be really great payoff. I'm so happy about that. All right, so the plot was wacky, wild, but also meandering. It just was inconsistent. There are 2 very distinct and separate threads in this story, and they're just so far apart that it honestly kind of feels a bit frustrating at times to be flipping back and forth. It almost seems as if there should maybe be a different story, or the way that they intertwine should be different. And of course they start to come together in the end, but one plot point or plot thread is significantly stronger than the other, and the weaker one definitely feels drawn out to match the stronger one in my opinion, and I just think that makes for a very inconsistent plot. It was unbalanced. That is the word I've been looking for. The story was unbalanced, and that's why I think it was clunky and could use some editing. I think everyone can see some of the twists coming in here, and it's just not like gratifying or earned. It's definitely played off as if it's supposed to be some like shocking thing, and it's really not. I also got so frustrated with the name dropping and constant references to the past series This inherently is not a bad thing. It's not something that bothers me just on principle. I read Cassandra Clare books. Like, I'm not one to talk about people referencing and having things influence different series. I'm not. A lot of them felt unnatural and were unnecessary. I will say, however, that when in regards to the trauma, because a lot of them reflect on some of their past experiences, I'm not including that in there. That's a very valid thing to be working through, to be thinking of, and it's something that forms and shapes them. That is not like a bad thing and not something I hold against the characters. That seemed natural. It was the other stuff that I had issue with. The constant like nudging and be like, hey, remember Six of Crows? Remember Kaz? Remember Inej? Yeah, I do. I don't need to be constantly reminded. I don't want to discuss the ending because I hate the ending. The ending was stupid. I was severely disappointed in the events that take place, and like the final reveal was annoying. It was bad. And in terms of the writing, I'm just glad that this isn't written like Ninth House. I don't know if that should be like the end part. I'm just thankful that it's not overwritten, overwrought, ridiculous bullshit, terrible writing. And I know this came out before Ninth House, but I was concerned because I hated Ninth House, if you couldn't tell. It was so pretentious. But also in regards to the writing, I love Leigh Bardugo's dialogue. The interaction with character, again, is phenomenal. And I actually really enjoyed the way she described the landscapes and where they were going. That was really enjoyable. Ultimately, I gave this a 3 out of 5 star rating, the most frustrating rating. It's hard to say whether or not I think you should pick this up because I love Six of Crows, but I don't particularly like Shadow and Bone. I like Nikolai, but I don't particularly like where this story went. So it's a really, really rough one. I do probably think I'll be finishing out the duology because I would like to see how the characters respond to everything that happens, but it's not like high on my priority list when it comes out. Let me know down in the comments below what you thought of King of Scars. I definitely have had a time with it. Let me know if you have any thoughts on it though. I'd love to discuss it in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you again very soon. Bye.